Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Nest Level. We have a lot of exciting sessions about sales and e-commerce, digital marketing, and many, many more. Make sure to download the VFairs app on your mobile phones for a smoother watching experience. We know you guys are excited for this session, but for now, chill for a few minutes and watch this video. morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Next Level session on the consumer-centric omni-channel revolution with Nestlé Greater China and Alibaba. I am JV from Nestlé Philippines, and I will be your host for this session. Before we start, let me just share a few rules so that this will be a smooth sailing session. First, make sure to check out our chat box so that you can catch important announcements and links on how you can engage with us using Slido. Submit and keep those questions coming using Slido. Second, we know you're all eager to participate, but please avoid flooding the chat box so you would not miss any of those announcements, okay? Third, and finally, always have your mobile phones on standby so you can scan the QR codes on the slides and have access to possible career opportunities in sales, marketing, e-commerce, data analytics across Nestle markets all around the globe. And who knows, maybe sometime this year you can be one of us, a force for good in the near future, or perhaps one of our speakers, right? We'll see. But for now, let's take the first step and begin the session. So, everyone, I am pleased to introduce to you our main speaker for today. He is the Corporate Vice President of Nestle Greater China. He is highly experienced in developed and developing markets with strong competency in successfully leading businesses to profitable growth, identifying and implementing major strategic initiatives and driving change management projects are also top notch for this guy. Everyone, please welcome our main speaker, Bernhard Stefan. Hey, Bernie, how are you doing?
I am very well, JV. Thanks a lot for the introduction. Great to be with you today.
Thank you for being with us. Now, for our second speaker, he is the Strategic Business Development and Partner Manager of the Alibaba Group. Prior to Alibaba, he was part of the digital strategy team at BMW in Munich with assignments in Silicon Valley and Beijing, where he gained experience in in-car entertainment, Android integration, and autonomous driving. Everyone, please welcome Patrick Cool. Hey, Patrick.
Thanks for the introduction. Looking forward, guys.
Thank you for joining us too today, Patrick. So, guys, I'm really looking forward to hearing about how consumer-centric omni-channels are revolutionizing e-commerce in your region. So, without further ado, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, JV. Thanks everybody for joining and being with us today. This is really great that you could make time, that you're here. And actually, you will see the main speaker of today is going to be Patrick. I think he has so much to share with us, and you are all looking forward to this. So Patrick, also thanks for being with us in this session today. And clearly, we really hope that you get something out of that for yourself, for your development. So let's make this interactive. We're going to have a Q&A at the end, and I hope we're going to get some, great questions from you to see how we can help you with your development. Consumer-centric omni-channel revolution. Well, that sounds, very technical, and what does it is? You will see it's actually something that you all hear and read about, and I am sure many of you participate in as a consumer, as a shopper every day. Before we go into the details, I just want to very quickly tell you a little bit about Nestlé in Greater China, and you're going to see on the next slide who we are as a company. So Nestlé Zone Greater China, which is mainland China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, is the second largest market for Nestlé. We are about 6.5% of the group sales with close to 5.6 billion Swiss francs or US dollars, which is these days more or less the same. China for us is a super important strategic market, and you can see we invest a lot in our business there, be it on operations where we have a lot of factories, be it in R&D centers where we have 8 different centers from base research to product development. So for us, super important market, but clearly also an extremely competitive and fragmented market. We have over 200,000 customers there. And, with our customers, with our direct customers, we handle roughly 420,000 orders a month. For a guy like Patrick, he's laughing about these numbers. These guys handled 400,000 orders in a minute, or on some days a year in a few seconds. So you see, there's differences between us as a consumer goods company and then our partners on the trade side. Clearly beyond that, in China, food safety, quality is one of our most important topics. This always has been, at the heart of Nestlé, that we offer our consumers high quality and safe products. And this goes through the entire value chain from our production, which is mainly in China for China, but then also with the sourcing of all our ingredients from our customers. So that was just a little bit of a snapshot of us as a company. Now on the next slide, you see a bit about the e-com landscape. And of course, I'm sure nobody of you is surprised who is the biggest player in e-com in China. It is, of course, Alibaba, with a huge number in gross merchandise value. But clearly 2021, a year ago, e-com in China in general has slowed down. Now you can say, not surprising, the pie already got very big over the last few years. But we see some interesting developments, and that's why we talk about this change. Online to offline, O2O, is developing rapidly. And this is something that we see the big players doing, JD, which is another big player, another big platform. They cooperate with, hundreds of thousands of retail stores, or Alibaba, and I'm sure Patrick will talk about it. They started a few years ago, their first offline store that they developed, Herma, Fresh Hippo, which is a super innovative outlet where you buy your groceries, but you can have them cooked in the store, you can have sent them home. I think Herma started in 2015 when I lived in China with one outlet in Shanghai. Now they have way over 300. I'm sure this number by now is outdated, but you see this online to offline is merging together, and we see a lot about this development. But clearly also there's these new emerging platforms. You have TikTok, you have WeChat mini app, and there's a strong growth in this area that in a way from a growth perspective is outperforming the established players. And a lot of that comes from the private domain sales. And what does this mean for a company like Nestlé? Well, you see on the next slide that clearly we constantly have to change. And change in a way is not enough. It's really now reinventing the way how we operate, reinventing our commercial model to be able to also win in these emerging channels, because the speed is too fast. So clearly for us, Alibaba strategic partner, we work with them a lot in China and outside of China. But also we need to find ways to really accelerate about these new content platforms and in private domain. And one thing that is super important for those of you who join, who are maybe coming from other parts of the world, where you have sometimes very strong, very dominant players, one of them a big American company, Amazon. China, you have many, many different players. So it's not about only partnering with one of these new content platforms. You need to do it with a number of them. And I think for us in Nestlé China, yes, we are a big multinational, but we really need to establish and maybe even create this new commercial model where we can learn from the emerging local players, these smaller companies that are super consumer-centric, that really connect well with the consumers and be very much in a Chinese operating mode, but then of course combining that with the strength of a global company like Nestlé, our brands, our quality, our processes, and bringing this together is creating what we say this new commercial model. Maybe for some of you, what I'm saying now sounds a bit outdated, but when, less than 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when I lived in China, e-commerce was the new thing. And all companies, us, we had a big sales team looking after the offline stores, the brick and mortar supermarkets, and then e-com came. And so we created a dedicated team focusing on e-commerce. So for the last few years, we had two teams, one doing our offline sales, the other one doing e-com. But this is no longer good because e-com is not in that way a separate channel anymore. It has been merged together. Now it's omni-channel. And actually it was Patrick's, the founder of Patrick's company, who I had the chance to hear speaking in China a few years ago. And Jack Ma said at that occasion, that must have been 2014, 15. And he said, to the audience, guys, in a few years, e-commerce will no longer exist. And, you can imagine if the founder of Alibaba says e-commerce will no longer exist, you can imagine there's a bit of silence. And then he said, because it will simply be commerce. Everything will move together. And I think he was, again, very visionary, and he's absolutely right. So that's why many companies and us, we created now this omni-channel consumer operation, And this team is really handling all our commercial activities, no matter if it is a traditional offline channel, it is traditional online, or it is this omni where all comes together. And clearly, as an organization, that also means you need to evolve. And you have to be, the most important thing, you have to be consumer-centric, because the consumer is so close to you that if you don't follow what they want to do, it won't work. Excuse me. And also, you know, entrepreneurial, China is the most entrepreneurial place. Everybody wants to start their own business. And the last one, innovation focused. And that's what you see on my last slide. I think really innovation is extremely important, but not just, you know, innovation of product, which you would expect from a company like us. No, it goes way beyond product. You also need to innovate the organization. Just talked a bit about creating this omni setup, but also business models, direct to consumer. You need to work very differently, because the way how you run, for example, supply chain, how you bring products to the consumers is very different. And look, in a very dynamic, fast-moving environment, you can imagine that if you follow the process of a traditional Swiss company, it's going to be very hard to succeed and to win. So it is really a consumer-centric innovation across all areas where we operate. And very clearly, and this is, you know, what our zone CEO, or what my boss always says, just straightforward, growth is the only solution. If we stop growing as a company in this environment, we have no chance to succeed. But how can we grow? Well, there's only one way we can do it. We have to be innovative. We need to have innovation to drive our growth. And innovation itself is only relevant and only makes sense if it is something that the consumer wants, if it's consumer focused. And then you're going to have this model where you really have a consumer-centric innovation area, where we as a company, as a big traditional company, also can win with, you know, a very fast changing, fast moving environment in a place like China. But as I said, main speaker today is Patrick. That was just a very quick intro from what we do as Nestlé Greater China. And now, Patrick, it's over to you. And I look forward to, you know, the discussion and the Q&A later on.
Thanks, Bernhard. Let me share my screen quickly. 1 second. You should be able to see my screen now.
Yes, perfect.
JB, thanks again for the introduction, and thanks Nestlé and Bernie for my chance to speak here, but also that you guys selected Alibaba as a partner here. I think we have achieved a lot of great things, and today I will talk about our ecosystem and which trends and how the digital commerce in China is changing in the future. But one more sentence towards the introduction. I think one thing I want to share with the audience as well is that I'm also half Chinese. So I think I grew up between the Western and Eastern culture, which gives me really this great opportunity to have this great job to help Western brands to grow towards China, towards Asia. And yeah, very happy and excited to be here. And as Bernie said, looking forward to the Q&A section. So today I'm talking about the future of digital commerce in China, and I thought the perfect first slide is an old history slide. Here you can see our founder, Jack Ma, in his apartment with the initial founders, where they had the vision to make it easy to do business everywhere. And this is our mission for over 20 years already, and we still live by it every day. And I think this is also one of the reasons why partners like Nestlé choose to work with us, because within this 20 years, our ecosystem grew to quite a lot of exciting places and businesses. So we separated it in different building blocks. So on the top left, you can see the China commerce building block. We separated in marketplaces. So let's say it's an online business, there will be no brick and mortar store. In the middle, we have our retail business. So Herma is the blue hippo you can see. That's what Bernie was referring to. These are our supermarkets in China, where we really envision how's the future of shopping. And we combine online and offline channels. For example, you can go to the supermarket, you can purchase your products, and the products will be shipped to your home from the supermarket. So these supermarkets are at the same time also a logistic hub for us. Then you also see we are big in the wholesale industry. I mean, wholesale, Alibaba.com, that's really the nucleus of our ecosystem. There we have the Chinese offerings called 1688. It's for China with Chinese suppliers, but building on that is the international commerce. I think the target group today here in this webinar is Southeast Asia. So I think many of you are aware of AliExpress, Lazada, Daraz. These are all part of our ecosystem. And then there's also Trendyol. Trendyol is the biggest e-commerce player in Turkey. Right now, they're expanding to Europe, also in Germany here. And on the bottom, you can see there's Alibaba.com. On the next point, we have local consumer services. So basically AMaps, equivalent to Google Maps. So we also support our customers in navigation. The blue down there is Ilama. That's our food delivery business. And now we can slowly see some cross activities across these business units. So let's say you go to the retailer, to Hema, you want to buy your groceries and you want to get them shipped at home. So about the food delivery in China, you have to understand it's very peak driven. So at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 in the evening, the Chinese want to eat. So there are peak demand hours for the food deliveries. But of these high peak sessions, we can also use the drivers from Ilama to deliver, for example, the Hema delivery. So now you see how we slowly start to connect the ecosystem. Then we also have the digital media and entertainment branch of our company, Youku. It's the equivalent to YouTube in China. There we also have started for over 7 years the topic of live streaming and e-commerce. I will have a deep dive there later in the slides. There you can also see we really try to connect our ecosystem to get more dots and to have really exciting products. And the last one on the right is the innovation initiatives. It's basically our research arm and also our voice assistant arm. So Tmall Genie is our voice assistant, so you can buy products. You can say, hey, Tmall, I want to buy Nespresso. Then, of course, the Genie can facilitate that. But as a German, I'm also proud that all of the German automotive companies, the premium ones as well, use Tmall Genie in the car to interact with the customer. And all these boxes are powered by two big fundaments. The one is the logistics arm. So we have our own logistics arms. And then the whole business also powered by the cloud business. So on the next slide, when we talk about China, how is the digital landscape? So first thing we have to understand, China's a mobile first market. So they never had the segment where everyone had a computer or laptop. The real digitalization started with a broad introduction of smartphones. So when we look, for example, at Tmall Global is one of our business units where customers in China can import products from abroad. So these are products that are not localized. So for example, you could buy a Nestlé product that's not intended for the Chinese market in the first place, but very interesting for a customer because you say, hey, I want to try something that's only sold in Germany. And out of these customers, over 70% are born after 2000. So you can see really this trend, innovation, looking for new products. This is heavily driven by young people who really want to experience new things. The second thing I want to talk about is the topic of live streaming. So since 2020, live streaming has exploded, has become even bigger. But in 2020, we had over 500,000 hours of live streaming every single day. And over 10% of the e-commerce GMV in China was generated through live streaming. But what does that exactly mean? Here we can see in 2018, we had the projections of around 19 billion in revenue for live streaming context China-wide. And now we see in 2022, we're almost reaching over 500 billion. So these are really amazing growth topics. And I mean, we all know key opinion leaders, influencers who are driving live streaming. And of course, they're very important. But one thing I want to pick out today in this session is the other direction. It's the farmers, for example. So we see the people are not only watching about brands, fancy products, technology, but they're also really interested in how do I source my food? What is the story behind what I'm eating? So for example, we have over 100,000 rural farmers in China who are live streaming from their fields, showing you the products, how do you consume the products, where the product's growing, etc. And this really shows the deep connection between technology and also going back to the basics. I think this is a very interesting phenomenon. Next one, on the topper end, of course, if we talk towards luxury brands, etc., one big trend in the context of live streaming is one-on-one live streaming. So in the past, we've seen millions of people watching one live streamer. The interaction is through the chat, like in this session, for example. But a big growing trend in future will be one-on-one sessions, where you can book a slot and then you will have your 20 minutes where you can talk to the people and you can just shop from the convenience of your living room and, yeah, enjoy more shopping. Metaverse. I mean, metaverse is a big topic. We all heard of it. I can show you how we in Alibaba tackle this and how we see it. Basically, we divide the topic of metaverse in 4 different categories. If we look on the far right, we see intelligent space. This is basically the business unit or the idea where we want to create digital worlds. We want to really create realistic worlds that the consumers say, hey, this really looks interesting, I can relate to it, it's not too abstract. So there we have technology to, for example, 3D visualize factories, or later I will show you where we work together with IKEA, for example, where we will visualize the whole IKEA store to create a new shopping experience. The next one is the topic of social entertainment. I just touched it with the topic of live streaming. I think one funny product we offer, for example, is called the AI-based beautification. Basically means, as you know, a majority of the live streamers have a lot of makeup on, and we have this AI program that basically an influencer can put on, and then they don't have to put makeup on, but it looks for the audience like they have makeup on. It's quite funny. I think in the first years when it launched, there were actually some funny fail videos, but nowadays the technology is so good that I don't want to count how much makeup we have saved through this. But these are all convenience features. We're building all slowly on top of each other, but the whole sum on top creates what we see in future of the metaverse. Next one is gaming. There I want to point out cloud gaming. And I think the thing you have to understand there is cloud gaming. It's really challenging to have high computing power with no latency and no disruption to be there close to the end consumer. And this is really a skill that's very important when we talk about the future, when you're like really immersed in metaverse, when you're in the 3D world, the calculation power will come from the cloud. And lastly, on the left side, on the e-commerce bracket, I want to point out the topic of augmented reality. So basically right now we are at the step at Alibaba where we can reduce the border between what the physical world is and how we can combine it with e-commerce. I will show you a deep dive to that as well. So basically for us, the metaverse, it's not a big jump like we see in the media, but it's really slowly incremental, having these building blocks, combining them, mixing them differently, and this will overall push it more and more towards what we call the metaverse. So what have we achieved with our partners, or what have we done in the metaverse in the context? So first, on the left side, constructing objects in the virtual world. So nowadays, when you shop with us, starting in the fashion industry, you really have a 3D model of the product. So let's say someone wants to buy a bag, so they can really rotate it, see it in different angles, see how the fabric is. This is really something where we put a lot of energy in, because we think this really will make a big difference, because this is one of the major differences between online shopping and offline shopping. You can see the product from different angles, how's the lighting, etc. Then in the middle, we work together with Gucci, for example, to create augmented reality shopping apps where people can try on jewelry or bags through their phone. So you basically put your fingers on this screenshot, and you can see how the jewelry would look on your finger without actually trying them on. And then on the right, you can see a screenshot where we work together with IKEA, where we digitalize the Shanghai IKEA store. So you can really walk through that IKEA store and you can really see the experience of an IKEA digitally. And this really also gives you good inspiration for other products, but also these technologies help brands to position themselves, to sharpen their branding, and also to reach new target groups. So when we look about the Chinese e-commerce market, which trends can we identify? So today I want to focus on Tmall Global. I talked to you earlier, 70% of the users from Tmall Global are born after 2000. And if we dig down more deeper, we can see we have over 100 million annual active consumers who are really interested in buying products that are outside from China. Over these consumers, we can see 70% of these consumers are female. So I think this is a really important key metric to understand how to position your products and how to target them. And we can also dig deeper. We can see the popular main categories for overseas products are cosmetics, health and supplements, mother and baby. And as you can see in these 3 big categories, you can see Nestlé already with their wide product portfolio is covering 2 of these big categories. And then if we go a little bit deeper, for example, glamping. So camping in China really took off 2-3 years ago. In 2020, it was called the year of camping. There was also the year where Prada launched a camping line, for example. So luxury brand really in Europe is not connected to camping. These are completely two different worlds. But in China, they really launched a camping line where they really said, okay, this is something that the Chinese consumer is interested. So as a result, if we look into the past 2 years, we really have identified that tents, camping, outdoor equipment grew by over 300% per year. But what does that mean? It also means that industries that are closely connected to it, let's say here, as I said, outdoor coffee kettles will also experience growth. And this also gives companies like Nestlé, who are a major player in the coffee industry, chances also to create new products, brands, or target new audiences. They say, hey, look, camping is a hot topic in China. Maybe we can grow towards this direction. The next topic is male grooming. Yes, male grooming was also growing very fast, or still growing very fast in China with over 2,000% growth rate. But we also have to understand that the basis is different. So on average now, if you want to generalize it, the Chinese male consumer has around 1 to 2 products in the context of grooming. This is still a lot less than compared to females, but this just really shows where the trend is going, that the people are paying attention to it, and that people are also willing to invest towards anti-aging, for example, or to see more energized. If we talk about health supplements, we can see here that customers born after 1995 that generate way more anti-aging sales than the consumers aged 30 and 50. And this really shows you, because for brands, that's quite interesting, because the previous thinking was that the people born after 95, for them, anti-aging is not a very important topic because they're not in this direction. But our data really show this is not the case. These are the people that think, okay, if I start early with anti-aging, I can have a long-lasting effect with it. So that's why we can see topics like healthy snacking is growing very fast. So these are products where you would, like, for example, eat and you have like better hair, better skin. These are really products that are really growing very fast. Probiotics, also a very big topic. That's also growing very fast, and also something that today's partner Nestlé is also part of, right? And lastly, food. If we dig deeper into towards the superfood, you can see just the superfood category alone grew over 20% in the last 2 years. So from 280 million, it grew to over 340 million US dollars. So we can see that superfoods are really, really interesting for the Chinese market, but also plant-based protein. So products that substitute meat, products that can be a healthy alternative, but also products that can reduce, for example, your CO2 footprint are also really interesting products for these markets. So what have we done with Nestlé? So I teased a lot of things we are doing, but how have we really set up this into reality with Nestlé? So the first topic is the greener supply chain. As you know, green supply chains, or in general, to minimize the impact, this is a really important topic for both of our companies. So what have we done together? So the first of all, we have analyzed the supply chain from production to warehouse to distribution, and also looked where can we start implementing measures to reduce the footprint, to introduce recycling, etc. So since a couple of years, for example, we work together with Nestlé. I think it's since 2016, actually, where we started with this initiative, and now it has become really big. So one topic, for example, I want to tease is the topic of recycling. So as you know, Nestlé with their Sense coffee, they have products for where people can consume their coffee products at home, but also certain products like aluminum, etc., are left after the consumption. And there we work closely together that people can go through our ecosystem, and we will send someone to pick up the products that can be 100% recycled. And the good thing about it is we combine it also with customer loyalty. So when you call someone from Alibaba, like Cainiao or Logistic Arms, to pick up a Nestlé product from Sense Coffee and ask them to recycle it, you will be rewarded with credit. And this is a win-win situation. But of course, for you as a customer, you have participated in recycling. For us as the company, Alibaba, we have helped with our services in order to enable this. And for Nestlé, they have a new customer interaction point, customer loyalty, brand loyalty, because you're getting credit for being rewarded. So I think this is a really interesting concept. And I think this can be really rolled out even further to other markets. Then the next topic is plastic-free boxes. So we work together with Nestlé to identify to identify how we can reduce the packaging sizes so the shipment can be more efficient, but also we move towards plastic-free boxing and also biodegradable boxing. So I think these are all steps towards the right direction, and really interesting to see what this partnership since 2016 in the context of supply chain can result in. The middle one, you can see the topic of fast innovation. In China, I think Bernie teased it on his slide earlier on, that they have over 8 R&D centers in China. This is really interesting because you see it's a big market, they're investing a lot of resources. And now they're also introducing products that are really focused on the Chinese consumer and just addressing their special taste. And there we are also working close together. So Tmall, we have an innovation center where we work together with brands such as Nestlé, where we really adapt in a quick way towards the consumer. We have data points, we can show them, okay, this is a taste that could work. And we're also working together, for example, to reduce the time it takes for a product to enter the market. And this fast innovation is really something I think where we benefit from each other. We can help them with data points. They know how's the branding, what is possible in production. So this is also a very interesting story. And then lastly, on the right, we can see the new inventory solution. This is actually an interesting topic because we set up a project. It was called One Inventory. We worked together with Nestlé, where we really focused on 2 key points. Nestlé wants to reduce, of course, the inventory cost. So fast inventory turnover, efficient allocation is very important. And for us as Alibaba and for Nestlé, of course, is quick delivery important. I mean, for many people, it is expected that the product will arrive on the next day. So we really work together to find new ways to improve the inventory system. And within 19 days, we made it happen that over 70% of the products can be delivered within the next days. And we did this by combining all the channels together. So Bernie before said that omni-channel is very important, but there are also different channels within our ecosystem. So Nestlé is working with us on Tmall, on also other platforms we have. So the goal here, for example, was to combine the inventories to make sure that not one channel is sold out and the other ones still have inventory, but really to combine it and to make it more efficient. And I think these are really 3 interesting examples how a partnership between 2 big companies can work out and what the result for the end consumer is. Yes, this was a quick overview of what we're doing in China, in which direction it's going. And I'm looking forward to the Q&A session, guys.
Thank you, Patrick. And also thank you, Bernie. It's really interesting to see how digital platforms, consumer buyer behavior or experience has, evolved now. And I think I speak for everyone when I say that they are all looking forward to new innovations from both Nestlé and Alibaba. And personally, I think it's amazing that you did not forget the sustainability aspect, even in innovation. It's still part of our future. So claps to you guys. Thank you so much for that. Now we go to the exciting Q&A. Are you guys ready? We have a couple of questions and more questions are coming in right now. So let's go to the first question. Anonymously submitted. I think this is for Bernie. What has been Nestlé's biggest challenge moving to a consumer-centric omni-channel? Interesting.
Yeah, great question. And I think for me, there's a number of really big challenges. One is we are a traditional company with lots of processes. And here we have to be much faster. And, I talked a bit about that Patrick did. Unless you find a way to be really fast forward, work with these new forms of innovation, this Tmall Innovation Center, you can't do it. So it's really the way how you work. But honestly, guys, I think the biggest challenge we have is the mindset of people. You need to be able to accept, yes, I work for a big company, but that doesn't mean I can't be as entrepreneurial as somebody who works for a small startup. And that's something we have to overcome. And very often I hear questions from my colleagues from our team and I said, but can we do this? And no, they will not say yes. And I said, try it, do it, go out, tear down these mental barriers, these walls. For us to win, I told you, we have to be more entrepreneurial. We have to be more innovation driven. And this is really something I would say that starts in your mind and in the mindset. If you want to do it, you need, have this really different mindset.
Very well said, Bernie. Thank you very much. The next question, I think, is for Patrick. How can merchants like Alibaba tackle the conversation around ethical shopping?
That's an interesting question. I think the first thing we do, as I stated in our company mission, is to make business easy everywhere, and also to offer people a platform to reach the end consumer. Because I think we can help smaller companies, products from a niche market, products from different regions of the world to reach bigger customers, to help them really to launch. Because if you talk about these ethic brands or the owners of these people, it's very hard to scale up in order to reach the customer. I mean, just look at Nestlé. They have been doing this for over 100 years. They know how to do this. But if I would start a company or someone else would start a company, you really have to learn it. You have to find the right partners, etc. And I think we as an ecosystem player, we're like a one-stop shop for them. We can support them with logistics, we can support them with a platform, but we also have teams internally that are like consultants. They will tell them how to position the product. Is it the right fit or not? So I think really our strength as a platform is to help to jumpstart these new ideas.
Thank you, Patrick. And I guess speaking of partners, the next question is fitting. Bernie, I think this is for you. How impactful is your partnership with Alibaba, Nestlé's partnership with Alibaba, to our e-commerce? And do you have any regrets so far?
So, great question. First of all, and I truly mean this, super impactful. Look, Nestlé and Alibaba, we have been working really closely together in China for many, many years. And I think there is something important. You know, we talk a lot about partnerships, and, you know, for my whole career, you would hear partner here, partner there. But let's be very clear. Very often what we call a partnership is not a partnership. Because in a partnership, there's two things that I believe are super important. One is you trust each other, but equally important is you really open up and you share. And this is something that makes a partnership with Alibaba for a consumer goods company like us very different to other platforms and other players, because Alibaba is very, very keen to share the data with us, because as Patrick said, it's about making business easier. Other companies, if you go to a traditional retailer, you know, you have a very clear relationship. We are a supplier of goods and they sell it. And sometimes even, you know, when you look in some countries, offline retailers become competitors of branded goods companies with private label. Alibaba has a very different business model. So we truly work together and we develop things together. Patrick mentioned the Tmall Innovation Center, where actually we really work together on launching new products. And this for me is a partnership. Regrets? Yes, I have a regret. We were way too slow to start partnering with Alibaba, you know, in the years ago. And we did not, to the earlier question, did not throw overboard, you know, these mental limitations that we had, because we approached it way too much as a traditional business. So, hey, could we have done more? And are there other companies who were faster than we were? Absolutely, yes. But I think it's a great partnership in China and outside of China. So we are very proud, and I'm sure I can assure you we're going to continue building on that, and it will take all of us a long way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can chip in on that. I think what's also helping is what our business goal is. So I think partners like Nestlé, they understand we have no interest in using the data we generate through selling them to launch our own products. So I think this is also very important, because we clearly communicated what our goal is. It's a win-win situation. We want to grow together. And there's, in our open discussions about innovation, new product launches, brand positioning, there's no second thought about, wait, what if Alibaba uses this data to launch their own coffee product line, for example? Like we don't do this business. We're a platform. We want to grow with our partners.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Bernie, for the great response. We have limited time right now. I guess I'm going for the maybe last two questions. Bernie, this is an interesting question specifically addressed to you. For Bernie, how can I start a thriving career at Nestlé and follow your career track? I think that's a difficult task, but let's see.
Well, first of all, you did the right thing. You joined today's event, so that's great. And look, I think this is, you know, the point is, yes, at some stage you start. And I can tell you, when I joined Nestlé a lifetime ago, for many of you, I thought I would stay with this boring company for maybe 2-3 years, and then I do something different. But I had the chance, you know, to work in 3 different continents, many different countries and all that. And this was great. But my really most important career advice to every one of you guys, if you are not passionate for what you do, and if you don't enjoy what you do, it's not going to work. You are all smart, you have great education, you have drive, you want to go, but don't do things because you believe you have to do it. Do it because you think this is really something that helps me to develop, that gets me excited, that gets me out of bed. And then, you know, I think you're going to have a great chance for a great career at a company like Nestlé, Alibaba, or many, many other things, or you do your own stuff, but do it with, you know, 100% conviction and enjoy what you do.
Thank you so much, Bernie. Very well said. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have now. Sorry that that was a short Q&A, but Bernie and Patrick, any final words for our participants for today? We have 253 and increasing.
Patrick?
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it and you learned something new. I think, yeah, attending these events is really helpful. Maybe my advice for you guys is if you apply for Nestlé in the future, reference that you attended this. I think it's always a good door opener if you can tell them that Nestlé Level 2020 was great.
Thanks, Patrick. No, thanks so much for Patrick and for, you know, Alibaba to join this event today. It's really about, you know, partnerships. We talked a lot about that. JV, thanks for hosting. Look, it was great to be here. I'm sorry we couldn't take more questions, but you know, if you have something burning, you can send it to us. We will find a way. I will find a way with my team to, you know, to get back to you. But enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy these next level sessions. I think it's great and was great to be with you today.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much. What an insightful session for today that you just delivered. And a huge thank you to everyone who joined us today. Thanks, everyone. The 200 plus 250, almost 300. We hope you enjoyed our talk today and felt inspired by the lessons that Bernie and Patrick shared with you. Guys, digital acceleration plays a big role in sales and e-commerce today, and there are always endless opportunities to look forward to in revolutionary e-commerce trends, strategies, and platforms in the future. So don't forget to catch the next session by the engineers of Nestlé as they talk about building digital factory of the future and the role of an engineer at Nestlé. So with that session, you will be able to understand the role of engineering within Nestlé and how digitalization is an important enabler for manufacturing as we accelerate in our journey to be an agile, efficient, and competitive company. In case you missed some of the sessions yesterday or the first day, don't worry because the recordings for those sessions will be up very, very soon. So make sure to go to the next session, click the links on the chat box, or you may also go back to the agenda page and join the session from there. Feel free to also share your thoughts about today's session and tag us in LinkedIn with hashtag NestLevel2022. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.